Good day everyone, and welcome to the premium video newsletter for July 25th, 2013. A large increase in aircraft bookings during June drove orders for new US-made durable goods up by 4.2%, the third straight large monthly gain, the Commerce Department reported Thursday. The increase was larger than expected. Economists have been looking for a 2.3% gain in durable good orders last month. Initial jobless claims increased by 7,000 to a seasonally adjusted 343,000 in the week ending July 20th, the Labor Department said earlier today. Economists had expected claims to rise to 342,000 from a revised 336,000 in the prior week. The number of people who applied for new unemployment benefits showed a modest increase last week, but the level of so-called initial claims reflected little change in a slowly moving U.S. labor market. As far as earnings are concerned, Facebook surprised Wall Street by reporting better than expected earnings and revenue, mostly as a result of increased sales of mobile advertising units. While the largest chemical manufacturer in the world, BASF, disappointed the street and blamed weak global economy for the slowdown in revenue. Technically, very little in terms of economy has much impact on the U.S. stock market, which was very quiet the majority of the trading session. The volume is very low right now, which is common for this time of year, but very uncommon for the level that the market is trading at right now. I don't want to read too much into this market right now because of the lack of commitment from either buyers or sellers. But I am paying attention to the fact that buyers did come into the market and push it higher when it sold off during the first part of the trading day. The sentiment is getting a bit stronger, and even the transports, which went lower today, are moving a bit up. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some upside action for the next few days in the broad market. One stock I want to talk about for a minute is Apple. Yesterday we had very positive news, but the stock was in a downtrend. One of the biggest reasons why I always try to follow the trend is because markets tend to resolve themselves in the direction of the trend. This means that even when they rally and look like they are completely ignoring the trend, typically within a week they go right back to following the current trend line, regardless how positive or negative the earnings were. I've seen this not hundreds but thousands of times over the last 20 years, and I doubt this will ever change. As a matter of fact, this pattern was so common that I created a setup after it. The tail gap was specifically designed after I began noticing stocks gap far away from their trend and revert back to the trend within days. I added some filters, but in essence, if Apple closed at the bottom range yesterday, it would have been on our list of tail gap setups last night. Here's the important part of all of this. Many traders misinterpret the tail gap as a trade against a trend. The tail gap is only meant to be initiated if the actual signal is in the direction of the trend. The temporary gap must be away from the trend, but the trade must always be in the direction of the gap. You can see in this example what an accurate tail gap setup looks like. This is an actual setup for tomorrow, ticker symbol MJN. Notice the trend is down and the signal is in the direction of the trend. Here you could see the type of tail gap setup you should avoid. Never take a tail gap against a major trend. You can trade tail gaps if there's no trend and markets are range bound. Those are fine, but if the trend is up, don't take tail gap signals on the way down. And if the trend is down, don't take trades going up. I was hoping Apple would have the setup yesterday, and I wanted to use it as an example. But unfortunately, Apple did not close at the bottom 20% of the trading range, so we didn't have one. Maybe next time. Looking at crude oil, there's a legitimate 4x4 entry setup to the long side. I'm looking at the actual contract, but but you can trade the crude oil ETF ticker symbol USO. The trend is very strong in this market, and we shouldn't have too much pullback on the downside. Don't initiate the trade unless tomorrow we trade above today's high during the first half hour of the trading day. I will notify you in the morning update if in fact we have a trigger tomorrow in this market. The only hesitation I have right now is the lack of volatility during the summer months, but this market is not nearly as impacted as stocks are right now. As a matter of fact, the volume is reasonable taking into account the time of year. The US dollar broke the short-term downside support level as anticipated. I believe we're going to go to the 81.5 level within the next few days. This was something I've been waiting for a while now, and I do believe if we're patient, we can ride it to the 80.5 level within the next few weeks. Looking again at the gold market, it's looking like we may not hit the 1400 area as I was hoping we would. The market had ample opportunity to rally a bit more, and while I'm very bearish on the gold market long term, I want to get the highest selling price possible. What's interesting about this area is in fact that the resistance area has not been violated. So technically, we never violated the trend. I was actually hoping we would violate the upper resistance area, which would cause buyers to start getting into the market and propelling it higher. However, it didn't happen, and with the momentum diminishing to the upside, I doubt we will go much higher on this swing up. This means we are near selling levels, and I will be scaling into this market slowly to the downside. If you trade ETFs, GLD is the one you want to look at, as it does a terrific job of following the gold market with about 96% correlation, which is more than you can ask for. Here are the setups for tomorrow's session. There's a crude oil 4x4 to the upside as we discussed. In addition, there are two short tail gaps, one on ticker symbol MJN, I showed you that earlier as an example, and a second one on IMAX, IMAX. There are also two long tail gaps, one on ticker DST and the other on TM, which is a Toyota Motors company. Very interesting setup, one I don't see very often on Toyota. There's also a long inside day on ticker symbol HLF. That's it for today. I will update you tomorrow. Have a great night, everyone.